Hey, what is up guys, it's your boy Twa here. This will be a video on Siegfried raid. Now, I'll be going over my team and what I like the best, but I'm also going to theorize on what would actually be a good budget team as well. Let's check it out. First and foremost, let's check the skills. So in the first skill, Divine Strike, it says dealing damage, knocking down for 3 seconds, target that get hit have their defense reduced by an X amount, which is 2k on stage 1 and going up gradually the moment you get to the higher stages. And the skill basically looks like this. The fact that you're not able to cleanse the defense reduction means that if you have characters that can give the rest of your team some defense, that will tremendously work. So one of the characters that I do pick from this is my Claws, because the S3 gives 18k defense, Kane gives about 52k defense on S3. But some people even suggested that Demia could work here because the P block increase, where block actually is part of the gimmick of the boss. We'll get to that in a. As for the second skill, for Too Long Didn't Read, gives you mana up on hits. If you get full mana, once he is done casting, that means you're gonna get silent. So once he is casting the swords, you will get a lot of mana for all of your characters. If you then have a full mana bar on each of these characters, they will end up getting sealed. Now, that doesn't seem to be that much of a problem because you can still auto attack from that point on. But the moment you get out of the seal, chances are some of your buffs, which give you P defense, gives you P damage reduction, those might be down, which then ultimately changes to a problem where you can get killed in the very latter stages because of the AoE damage of the auto attacks. The third skill is the Divine Power, and says upon taking fatal damage, Siegfried is healing himself up to full HP. Heal rate reduction does not help here, and his auto attacks will increase in range and will do a lot of damage because of the 30% attack increase. The Divine Rampage says that he is not affected by changes in defense, attack speed, and his Divine Power increases all block chance by 1,000. This means that you will need several characters to lower that block rate, because at the higher stages 4 and up, he will have another additional 1,000 block extra. And if his mana is fully charged, he will have his defense penetration increase, which means even if you do have defense, you will get cooked. As for the last skill, it says Siegfried recovers mana each hit, but if his attack is blocked, his mana is reduced. So if you have characters that can give you blocks such as Demia, then chance of this guy healing up like a lot of mana is very low. Funny enough, on stages 4 up and higher, his normal attacks will increase in damage, and that's most of the times where you actually get killed. But he also takes damage from normal attacks, which then leaves a pretty decent roster for people that can kill him. But without further ado, let's check a run. Now that we know the skills, the question is, how do we beat these mechanics? Now let's start with the 2k block. There are several characters that will be able to reduce the block to a nice rate. One of the best ones that we have is Nikki, but she can only reduce P block to a 100% up chance and will reduce it to 0. Another character that can reduce all of the block chance to 0 is Taylor. With her UT1, she has a 5-second downtime on the block reduction. Then you have two characters that can reduce it by 500. That is Requena on the S1 and Dosada on the S1, and both of them don't have that much of an uptime. So I don't like these characters. And obviously a honorable mention is Hilda. She on full mana will not care about blocks, so she will be doing actually a nice amount of damage because she is also an auto attack character. The second gimmick is his mana. Obviously, if you can get yourself characters that have a high P block rate, his mana heal will not be that great. And another thing to take into account is that only normal attack damage characters will do extra damage. So 9 out of 10 times, if you devise a team, you will have one damage dealer and you can build the rest on a nice amount of block. This block rate will tremendously help you in the higher stages. The moment Sieg does Divine Storm of Blades, he will automatically grant himself a lot of mana. The moment you block this, you will reduce that mana gain. This way, even if you do get silenced, you will not have a Sieg with 100% mana, grants himself the buffs, and on the third phase will actually auto attack your whole team to death. But outside of P-Block, there are several characters that will help you out as well. One of the best ones that I believe is there is Requena. Her S1 and UT1 blocks any type of incoming mana gain. Dosada S1 has the same gimmick. Evan S3 on the Dark perk will give you a lot of mana drain as well. And then you have several high invested characters such as Nikki with a high unique weapon and Lakrak with a high unique treasure that will be able to block a lot of mana as well. If you do, however, pick the most monstrous investment, you will pick Lucius with a UT2 and try to get himself onto as much cooldown reduction on S2 as you can get. If you can get that on 4 pieces of the new gear, you will be able to 100% uptime that mana reduction, and Siegfried will not be getting anything. Is that the high end game? I believe so. Will everybody be getting that? No. Another stat that I find very useful is the attack reduction or incoming P damage reduction. Characters that instantly come to mind is Claws on the S3 Dark, Taily on the S4 Light, Evan's S2 on the Dark version, Nikki's Soul Weapon, and Lucius's damage reduction on S1. Now obviously these caters very well to physical damage teams. For magical damage dealers, I'm not that sure yet. But I believe, in all honesty, that magic damage dealers have a way more consistent team when it comes to constant healing. Pick up a Fallen Frey, Talisha, Annette, and you will have 3 healers, and then you can pick a damage dealer from any angle. One thing I haven't mentioned is that stages 4 and up, every attack that Sieg has will break shield, so that way Evan and Fallen Frey are slightly worse, where I'm not quite sure if Fallen Frey is the thing that you want to pick. However, she is a character that will boost that single target damage dealers, and you already have 2 healers, which are Talisha and Annette. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about teams. For a magical team, I think the basis on Annette and Talisha for healers is tremendous. Pick Taily for the block rate reduction, or if you are willing to invest into a Hilda, then you can go with another tank. The debate that I had with myself was, are you then picking Fallen Frey? The answer to me is still yes. Everybody and their mother has them high invested right now. Or if you want to have a substitute and high investment character, you can pick yourself Refi. One of the reasons why this guy is very useful is his soul weapon and his unique weapon, which will make people immune to physical damage. It also has a very potent heal and a high uptime on the dots itself, meaning if you get silenced, it really doesn't matter all that much. Another thing which you could debate is having an Evan right here. This attack reduction and the constant healing that is coming out of that character is monstrous. One of the damage dealers that I would prefer here for a magical team is actually Miriam. I called her trash nonetheless, but looking at all of the YouTube videos, she's actually quite monstrous for this one. If you would have to pick another character, I would say Hilda's pretty good, Theo could be good, and I'm not entirely certain, but Kersey seems pretty nasty here as well. Now, one of the characters that I do recommend for both a physical and a magical team is Requena, and that is purely because of her mana block. For a mage, you can also pick Zora because she has heal rate reduction and a self-cleanse on the rest of your team. As for a physical team, I am a big fan of Evan here. His healing is monstrous, the reduction on the P damage is nasty, the attack reduction on S2 Dark version is sick, and on S3 Dark version you have mana rate reduction. Great, he does everything. Kane in this one is absolutely monstrous because the defense, nice amount of healing, his soul weapon heals, and physical damage teams kinda lack the healing that I want to have here. You can also consider Talisha, but like I said, Requena would be a lot better here. When it comes to a damage dealer, there are probably 3 top contenders, which is Celine, Gladi, and Dark Lord Kazel. I've already seen videos of people using Chase there. I know, he's just a monster. But I think these others will outperform him. And since Chase would otherwise take up a warrior spot, I would rather have Nikki in there. Now, if you, unlike me, don't have a very invested lock rock, getting Requena instead is really good. This opens up the fact that you can still have your mechanic spot taken by a net. The reason why this is good is because her cooldowns are very low, which make her skill very spammable, and that way she doesn't get sealed all that much. For those of you who are doubting the Lucius pick, here we go. Stage 6, and let's see how far we can get. Now let's start off by saying that if I pick my Evan, there is no way in hell that I'm able to beat this with this current team. And with this, well, you might be surprised how far we can get. So with the current mana drain on all of my characters, this dude is getting next to nothing. Now unfortunately, the Kayn S3 wasn't up as well as the Lucius S2. So there was no CC immunity, which then means I'm leaving out on a little bit of damage. But as I said, there's not a lot of mana gain except for this sword stuff. So if you can get a little bit more mana drain over there, you will not get hit massively by this dude when he is fully buffed. Now the funny thing with this team is Lucius and Claws combined have 50% P damage reduction, as well as with his unique weapon, Lucius has P damage reduction from the start as well. So that means you can get a pretty decent start off. Now if I want to make this team better, I need way more P block on my other characters. Both my Lockrock and my Galati are doing a little bit damage. They don't have to. That's what my Selene is for. And if I have more block, that means that he will not be gaining as much mana as he does in this current run. The same goes for upgrading Lucius's UT2, which then allows for way more mana reduction. One thing that I've never done before is get this full stun bar off. I'm not sure what is happening when I do that, but that will be something for the near future. Once again with the Divine Sword Storm, lots of mana incoming, and he will grant himself a buff once again. If I do get him to 1% at this point, I will get killed 100%. So that is where the nasty stuff comes in. Luckily, he's still in a phase where he doesn't attack all that much. But if you look at the incoming damage, it's absolutely enormous. And this isn't even the third phase yet. So if I have to give myself a few pointers, once again, get more P block, get my Lucius more invested, and guess what? Both my Croc and my Gladi are dead. And if this dude gets to hit me right now, it is over, ladies and gentlemen. It is over. There's a lot of damage coming in. If he gets the full mana bars, more damage will be popping. Lucius S2, aka the don't fuck with me zone, is still up. But after he gets out of this, I might end up getting cooked. Stop. Okay, I'm dead. That was it for the video, guys. Hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, make sure to drop a like and sub if you haven't already. But you know what the deal is. I'll see you guys in the next one. This is Twebby. Peace.